On this video, I am reading 1 Corinthians chapter 13 from the Greek text, and we'll be reading it in the Greek. I will be actually translating it with my own translation and then doing a parsing, a grammatical analysis. And anyone is welcome to follow along. Let me just give the context. We understand that we're looking at spiritual gifts, and Paul wants to drive home the fact that there are varieties of gifts, and not all gifts are the same. It's like one body with many members. And after he comes to this, he's dealing with the problem, it seems, of speaking in tongues. And I think the idea is that some were elevating that gift and others were saying, no, put it down. And there was this debate going on. And I believe that he moves on into verse 13 to talk about the most important thing the church at Corinth needed, and that was to pursue love for one another. And then he'll do a regulation of prophecy and speaking in tongues in chapter 14. But I want to pick up the reference, what we might call the love chapter. It goes, antais glossais ton anthropon lalo, kai ton angelon, agape de me echo, gegana kalkas, ekon e kumbalan ala ladzon. Notice he says, if I should speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and I am not having love, I am like sounding brass and a tinkling cymbal. Notice here, on introduces a third-class condition in Greek, a possibility, condition of possibility, and it's followed by the subjunctive lalo. It's the present subjunctive first person singular from laleo. So if I should speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and I should not have love, notice echo is your present subjunctive first person singular from echo. I should not have love. And then he continues, notice here, gegana kalkas ekon. That is, I have become as brass, sounding brass, and tinkling cymbal. Notice here, gegana is from genomai. It's the perfect indicative active first person singular from genomai. So I have become as brass sounding. Notice this is from akeo. It's the present participle, nominative masculine singular from akeo. And I have become as sounding brass and kumbalan a la ladzon, and clashing cymbal. Notice here, a la ladzon is a participle, a masculine, a clashing. I become like a clashing cymbal, a cymbal that is clashing. Here we have a present participle and a la ladzo. And then he goes on. In other words, this would be what would have gone on in, let's say, pagan worship at the time. And so he moves on in verse 2. Kai an echo prophetean, kai edo ta mysteria panta, kai pasantain nosen, kai an echo pasantain pistin, Justa ore metistanai agapein de me echo uthen emi. Notice Paul continues, and if I should have prophecy, the gift of prophecy. Echo again is a present subjunctive first person singular from echo to have. And I know all mysteries. Eido is the subjunctive of oida. Oida is perfect in form, but present in meaning. So this is a subjunctive from that same form, oida, that I should know all mysteries and all knowledge. And if I should have, and here we have another subjunctive in echo, I should have all faith, with the result that to move mountains, metistanai is an infinitive, to remove, from mythis, from the root, meaning to remove, methystemai, I believe. Then, and I'm not having love, I am nothing. So even though I know all prophecy, and I know all mysteries, and I have all knowledge, and let's say I have faith that could even move a mountain, but I don't have love, then he says, I am nothing. A me, present indicative active first person singular from a me. And then he goes on in verse 3, kan pso miso panta ta hupar kantamu kai an parado ta somamu hena kaukesomai agapein de me echo uden ophelumai. That is, if I should distribute, sort of parcel out, distribute. This is another aorist subjunctive first person singular from pso midzo. If I should distribute all of my belongings, here we have a participle from huparko, a neuter, plural, accusative plural from huparko. If I should distribute all of my belongings, all that I have in belongings, and if I should deliver my body, that it might be, and now there's a question here, that I might boast, and I do not have love, it is I am being profited in no way or in nothing. Notice, pso miso, again, as we said, is your aorist subjunctive, first person singular from pso midzo. So if I should distribute all of my belongings, and if I should deliver my body, parado is your aorist subjunctive, first person singular from paradidomi. I should deliver my body in order that I might boast. Kaukesamai. Notice from kaukaamai, to boast. If we take this reading, and what we're looking at here is another subjunctive. It's the aorist middle subjunctive from kaukaamai, that I might boast. If we take another reading, the reading would be kauthesamai, that I might be burned. Again, this is a debated reading. If we take that, we would be looking at a future indicative passive from the root to burn. The root to burn. And so again, it depends on which reading one is going to follow here. So then we go on, and I'm not having love, I am being profited in nothing. Notice ophelumai is from opheleo, and here we could render this as a present indicative passive. I am being profited in nothing if I don't have love. And so then, after describing that, he goes on to describe love. Notice he says, He agape, makrathume, krestuete, he agape, ut seloi, he agape, u perperuetai, u fusiotai. That is, love. He's now going to define what love looks like. Notice he says, love is long suffering. From makrathumeo. That is, love is patient. Present indicative active third person singular from makrathumeo. Love is kind, is being kind. Klestuetai. And I'm understanding this also as a present indicative passive from klestuo. Love is being kind. Seloi, it is not jealous, from selao, to be jealous. So love, he agape, is not jealous. Present indicative active third person singular from selao. It is not perperuetai. It is not bragging, we could say, on itself. Here I'm taking this as a present middle indicative active from peruamai, is not bragging on itself. Then fusiutai is not being puffed up, from fusiao, to puff up. The present indicative passive from fusiao is not being puffed up. Or we could take it as a middle, is not puffed up itself. Then, verse 5, ug askemane, u se te ta healtes, u paraxunetai, u lagidzetai ta kakan. As he continues, is not behaving itself rudely. Askemaneo is the root. Another present indicative active third person singular, is not seeking its own things. Zete is from zeteo, another present indicative active first person or third person singular. Both of these are third singulars. It is not seeking the things of itself. U parexunetai is not basically, if I would, I'm understanding this as a present passive, is not seeking its own things, is not vaunting itself, a present indicative passive third person singular, and is not thinking evil. U lagidzetai, present indicative middle, to think evil or to keep a record of wrongs that someone has done. U kaire epite adikia su kaire dete aletheia, is not rejoicing in that which is unrighteous, but is rejoicing together with the truth. Notice su kaire is from su kairo, to rejoice together. Both of these are present indicative actives third person singular. So it rejoices in what the truth is, not in what is wrong or unrighteous. Panta stege covers all things. Panta pistue believes all things. Panta elpidze hopes all things. Panta hupamene abides or dwells under or endures all things. Notice covers all things. These are present indicative actives, third person singulars. One tries to cover the, can I say, for others rather than blaming and attacking, is believing all things, believing the best in others. Another present indicative active third person singular is hoping for the best, is hoping all things. And then finally, hupamene is enduring all things. Another present indicative active third person singular from hupameno. So love never fails. He agape udepate pipte. Love never falls, I should say, or fails. Eta de prophetei katargethesantai. Eta glossai pausantai. Eta genosis katargethesatai. That is, love never falls. Another present indicative active third person singular from Pipto. And whether prophecies, they shall be voided. And again, this is a future indicative passive third person plural from katargeo. So prophecies shall be voided, whether tongues, pausanta, they shall by themselves cease. This is from pao to cease. So they shall gradually cease, I think Paul's saying. Whether knowledge, katargethesatai, it shall be voided. Again, from katargeo, future indicative passive third person singular. Then we move on. Ek meras gargenoskamen kai ek merus prophetuamen. Ek merus, for partially or out of part, we know. Another present indicative active first person plural from genosko, and out of part or partially prophetuamen, we are prophesying. So we only have partial knowledge, Paul is saying. Haten de eothe ta teleon ta ek merus katargethesatai. But when that which is perfect should come, that which is out of part shall be rendered inoperative. I understand that which is perfect to speak of the final eternal state when Christ returns. When that should come, and notice eothe is your aorist subjunctive active third person singular from erkamai. So when that perfect time, I think we could say, has come, then that which is out of part shall be voided. Katargethesatai shall be voided. Again, a future indicative passive third person singular from katargeo shall be voided. And then he says, hate amen nepion, when I was a baby, haten amen nepion, elalun hos nepias, ephranun hos nepias, elagitsamen hos nepias, hate gegana aner katergeka ta tu nepiu. That is, when I was a baby, a nepios, I was speaking as a baby. Notice amen is your imperfect indicative active first person singular from ame. When I was a baby, I was speaking from laleo, imperfect indicative active first person singular from laleo. So when I was a baby, I was speaking as a baby. I was thinking from phroneo, imperfect indicative active first person singular from phroneo. I was thinking as a baby. I was reasoning. Elagetsamen is your imperfect indicative middle from lagedzamai. I was reasoning as a baby. When, though, I became a man, gegana, I rendered an operative the things of babyhood. Hati gegana is your perfect indicative active first person singular from genamai. So when I became a man, katergeka, I have rendered an operative from katargepo, another perfect indicative active first person singular from katargeo. I rendered an operative the things of babyhood. And then in verse 12, blepamen gar arti di esaptru in enigmati, tate de prasopan, arti genosko ek merus, tate de epignosamai kathos kai epignosthing. And I'm rendering this for we are seeing now through a glass in obscurity, or through a mirror, like a bronze mirror, or in obscurity. And notice blepa is your present indicative active again, first person plural from blepo. I'm sorry, first person plural from blepo. We were seeing, for we were seeing now, or I'm sorry, present indicative active first person plural from blepo. We are seeing now through like a bronze mirror, through a mirror in enigma, without clarity, then face to face, prasopan pras pasopan. My mind goes back to the Hebrew panim al panim, where God appears face to face to Moses. So then, face to face in that eternal state, arte genosko ek merus. Now I am knowing partially, out of part. Genosko, again, your present indicative active, first person singular from genosko. But then, epignosamai, I shall know, just as also I have been known. Notice, epignosamai is your future indicative middle, first person singular from epignosko. I shall know in full is the idea, just as also I was known. Notice epigenosthing from epigenosko, aorist indicative passive, first person singular from epigenosko. So I'm going to know in full someday, just as also I was known in full at the time of my conversion, I think Paul is saying. Now, nune demene pistis, elpis agape ta tria tauta, metson de tuton he agape. Now is abiding faith, hope, and love. These three, notice these three, but the greatest of these is love. What a wonderful conclusion here. Now is abiding from meno, a present indicative active third person singular, faith, hope, and love. And how we need to understand that those are the things that do abide: our faith, our hope of seeing the Lord someday, and our love. These three. But the greatest of these is love. Metson de tu ton he agape. This is from Megas. It's a comparative use, used in a superlative sense here. Instead of the greater of these, would be the greatest of these, it seems to be, is love. So, what Paul wants to drive home is the absolute importance of love, which exceeds all of the debate about different gifts and all that's going on, and is trying to encourage the church to exercise love for one another. What a beautiful text on the meaning of love.